Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 15th to the 21st of November 2021. This whole week builds up to the full moon on Friday, which holds many parallel themes, so we'll break that down in a minute. But as always, there's a step-by-step guide in preparation for any big events, and this week there's a dominant square to Jupiter. So the Sun will square Jupiter on Monday, and Mercury squares Jupiter by the weekend. A square is an awkward aspect. It's fairly quick to pass. So if you're truly wanting to become clean, bright, free and sovereign, these things are worth inspection, because if something comes up, then that can be looked at, explored and cleared. So on Monday, Sun square Jupiter. Both of these are like the Sun really. The Sun is our soul force energy, the light cells in our body, and Jupiter is the expansion of that. So our sovereignty, our expression, our mastery. So when these two square off, there's something to be learned from each. That's what a square is. You look at the one side, you look at the other side, you find the imbalance, you find the struggle, you find the tipping point. And when worked with, this can become what's called a super conjunction. The two can then work very happily and powerfully together. As Jupiter is an Aquarius and so is Saturn, we're looking at our relationship with time, which sounds like a big concept. But in order to have real freedom, we need to rise above some of the things that we've been taught, some of the limitations. And it's very interesting how a mental concept can hold us down. So 2022 will all be about aligning with your best possible future, quantum manifestation, being in the present, and then having the power to actually choose your emotional frequency and contribution from a place of conscious awareness. And you could look at it this way: speak to your future self. Are you the one that you've been waiting for? So if you find yourself limited by something that's going on in the right now, not being able to see the wood for the trees, then this too shall pass. You can use your power of your imagination to jump into the future, visualize your best possible future, and then work backwards from there. So there could be struggles with your empowerment, with your sovereignty, with your mastery, definitely challenges to mastery, with the Sun in Scorpio wanting you to go deep into the universal truths and mysteries, delve way under the surface to find your inner power. And as I said last week, this whole phase that we're going through right now is like a winter journey. We're going into Scorpio and coming out in Aquarius. So that future self could just be imagining who you'll be in February, or who you want to be, your best possible expression, and then working back from there to see what this challenge has for you and how you can overcome the obstacles, because Jupiter likes to remove the obstacles. So we can't afford to carry weight forwards, and weight is negativity from the past. One of the views that we're given of time is that we have done things in the past or experienced things in the past, and we have to keep reliving them. But that's not at all the case. It's about getting the message of what that experience brought you, because it was something deep in your subconscious that attracted that to you. Then to learn the lesson, change your behaviour, and that will change your future. So there's an element of self-mastery and time travel here. And this square could actually be seen as quite fun in that respect. So on Tuesday, have a look at anything that's come up, where you felt disempowered, where you've let yourself down, and realise that if you understand why, where you were coming from, you're not that person anymore. So to anchor on that knowledge, to change your behaviour, and then you can't expect to have that come to you again, because you've cleansed that from your subconscious. By midweek we're heading towards the full moon, and the first aspect is Mars opposite Uranus. Mars is in Scorpio and Uranus is in Taurus. This is a very feisty aspect, and this will stir up a passion and a decisiveness. Uranus has been in Taurus for a couple of years now, perfecting our vision for ideal creative manifestation. So Uranus is freedom, it's the Fool card in Tarot, and Taurus is the presence, the heart field. So whereas before we may have had goals from a fight, flight, survival aspect, if I do this I can get that, now our goals are very much centred on becoming our best selves, clearing away some of those stories, some of the conditioning, so that we can actually step into becoming master manifestors. So Mars opposite Uranus may connect us with that deep passion, the deep vision, where we're really coming from and what we want to put our energy into. By Thursday we have Mercury trine Neptune, and don't forget all of these things are going on at once. These are just focuses for the days. So a trine is a harmonic. Mercury is the fields that we tune into, our thoughts, our inspiration with Neptune. Use of our imagination could be very strong on Thursday. So here, not to be put off with any initial challenges or setbacks. Sometimes we're pushing forwards towards something that we wouldn't like if we got it from an old program of what success is. So we can change that success equation and realign, be flexible, make small changes from a strong heart and the courage of our convictions. So it looks to me here like there's a gentle recalibration that's going on before the full moon to make sure that it's worth our energy, whatever we're putting our energy into. There's a sense of something big brewing, a breakthrough. The old must go to clear way for the new. But in the times that we're living in, it's your consciousness that's creating the new. So we're not just sitting on waiting for something to happen. We're actually being the energetic frequency of what we're calling in. So we can almost touch and taste and smell the new energy that's coming in if we do that centering with Mars in Scorpio, and then just hold the light. So we come to Friday and there's a full moon at 27 degrees Taurus. It's a partial eclipse and it's at 8:57 UK time. There's many players involved. We've got the moon and Uranus opposite the Sun, Mars and Mercury. So we've had a look at some of those aspects already. This is a multi-layered week. But we've got some helpers here as well. We've got sextiles to Venus and Pluto, and a trine to Neptune and a square to Jupiter. So there's a lot to unpack there. But to simplify, this is kind of a volcanic energy. There's a deep rumbling. And if we're holding on to an old ideal, that's like hanging on to a sinking ship when you know you can swim. So the swimming aspect there is your sovereignty, your knowing, your vision, your being centred. And the sinking ship is all the things that will be falling down under this tectonic shift. So it's hard to see what will happen here, but there's many different elements. So Venus and Pluto in a sextile could bring positive energy in for self-worth, for value, and for valuables. So value and valuables could equal finance. There could be something big that goes on in the financial structures or restructures at this time, or begins that process. Neptune tuning us into using our imagination, which has always been sidelined. There's just daydreaming and not being attached to reality. And yeah, that's the very birthplace of where we create our reality from. So that trine to Neptune helping us to really embrace and incubate our frequencies. But it's the square to Jupiter really, that's the only really tricky aspect. And I feel this permeates the weekend. On one level we'll see the results from the Mercury retrograde. So we came out of the shadow last week. So there's some rewards rushing forwards if you go back and revise that journey. But on another level, to find mental peace and strength of mind. We're living in a system that controls us by divide and conquer. Everybody's asked to choose a side. And even if you think you're right, according to an ideology that you've taken on, having a flexible mind to be able to constantly weigh that up with new information is a very valuable skill. But also I feel for this one, compassion. Every sign has its downside, and the downside of Aquarius is superiority. Aquarius's motto is I know, but can become the know-it-all. Inflexible, it's a fixed sign. And as we're in the age of Aquarius and some very Aquarian years, maybe by the weekend have a check to see if you've chosen a side, if you've picked a team, and then if you're acting in any way superior over others. Sometimes that superior can be cultivated by projecting negativity onto others, somebody on the other side. I'm right because they're wrong. And that's where the compassion comes in. Because the key tool that will help us in these Aquarian years is compassionate detachment. They say that Aquarius is cold emotionally. That's not at all true. The keynote of Aquarius is to have the objectivity to view something without the conditioning of the emotional system. So not being overly gloopily emotional to something that we should feel, but being able to rise above and actually have sovereign feeling. So if we apply this to others, we're in an age where everybody needs to be working on themselves and be their own expression, clearing away the debris to be their purest expression. So with a lack of judgment of others there, just let people be who they be. Everyone's on their own journey. You can hold a field of love even with people that you disagree with. And viewed from this perspective, that's the compassionate detachment. To find the kindness in their soul, to recognise the struggle that they're going through, and to be an assistant rather than an adversary is what I feel the energy of this full moon will deliver, that we can then apply and work with. So these squares can be brought into super conjunctions by realising that the critical thinking, true self-respect, aligning with your inner power that never wavers, universal truth rather than passing scenarios, but allowing others to be themselves as well. It's a tricky one, but it's a real test of mastery, not having to compare, not having to judge, not having to belong, not having to stand out, but quietly, compassionately, inner focus to concentrate on your own journey. So if you'd like to see where this is happening for you, I am available for readings, courses, coaching, and I have gift vouchers, which could be very handy, especially this year. Then please do contact me, zoehines7@gmail.com. With the gift vouchers I can send a copy of the chart and a voucher, so they've got something to actually receive. We'll be completing our Transcending the Negative Mind series for Sagittarius in the next couple of weeks. So there's 12 videos there to show you how to get out of your head, how to make your mind work for you, and learning intuitive astrology as you go along. So that's on my YouTube zoeastro with all my other videos. I post on Facebook at AstroZoe, Instagram at zoehines7, and I'm very happy to arrange a time to call and chat through some of your options to deliver something valuable and customised just for you. So as we can see, a very layered week, lots of very deep activity again as we journey from Scorpio through to Aquarius, with most of the planets in those signs guiding us through step by step, day by day, and the powerful full moon coming in with some tricky challenges, but all geared towards self-mastery. So wishing you a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week.